And good morning. I hope that worked right. Trying out some new things today. Hope everybody's doing well. Let's see, I'm looking down at my little chat board here, and Corey says sound check, right? Kind of, sort of. Good morning, Brian. Hey, Jeff Peters, you're in the shop. So guys, you know, with 37 computers in here, it turns out that I left the volume on one back over in the control room. So I'm going to run out of the scene here for a second and turn that off because it'll drive me nuts. Hang on just a second. Let me change this camera to something like that. And I'm going to come over here and turn this volume off. I've been doing lots of fun things this morning with all kinds of new things. Hang on just a second. Let me change this camera to something like that. And of course, you know, there's always some wrinkle, no matter what we try. And I was off to such a roaring start. And I'm trying to fix the sound on the one that I see the Facebook feed on. There we go. All right. Craziness, craziness, craziness. All right. I think we're all better. Good morning, Mark. Nice intro. Got to tell you got to tell me how you did that. Oh, lots of money, lots of electronics, and lots of software. That's the first time I've tried it. I've been wanting to do it forever to automate the intro. And maybe by next year, I'll automate the outro as well. So every little week, you know, I chip away a little bit more at everything that I'm working on. And I shouldn't keep my mouth open that long. I hope everybody's well. Sorry about that. I've got a video that I want to show you, and I hope this works. Today we are doing resin. We're going to be turning this resin stuff. The clear holoform with the Chroma-Craft FX on it. But I have a little story that I need to tell you, and I've made a little video. We're going to talk about 5 minutes on safety. Now, a lot of you guys were here with me yesterday. Listen to me. Last Monday, feels like yesterday, when I turned the trapezoid, or the triangle, the isosceles triangle, right? Well, I don't know if any of you noticed it. Good morning, Jim Hines. At one point, I stuck my finger into it, and it went brrr, and I said, don't do that, that hurts. Well, I'm actually still recovering from that little brrr, and this index finger, I actually watched the video after the fact, and I hit it pretty well. This index finger is still, I can almost do icons on the phone now and close things in and out. So I wanted to show you just how easy it is to inadvertently stick your finger in a piece like that. And you know, I talk about it all the time. I mean, I always mention it over and over and over, especially with a piece like that where we've got open air, we've got wood, and we've got air, and it's spinning. And I always stop and point out, you know, about your hand being in the way and getting close to it and all those kind of things. And I reinforce it and reinforce it and reinforce it. And there's a habit that I have, which I'm going to raise my hand and admit to. And one of those habits is a piece will be turning, whether it's a solid bowl or a piece that's crazy like that. Did I break my finger? I don't know if I broke it or not. It's outside the first joint, Jeff, so it's hard to say. It hurt like the dickens all week, and it kind of blew it open a little bit. I have a habit, and I'm going to say it's a bad habit, though I probably won't ever change it. So I hit the off switch, and the piece starts winding down, and we want to put our hand on, or at least I do, I want to put my hand on the piece and feel the smoothness, or feel the surface while it's still spinning but slowing down. Well, in this video that I'm going to play, I hope, if everything goes right, and I was going to do it where I could put it on the wall, but I don't think that's going to work for me today, so I'll just have to play it in another input, and we'll talk about it. It happens in a split second, and what happens is there's a false sense of security. And now look again, if you can, real close at this, and you'll see it. Let me change this over to the overhead, and I'm zoomed in pretty tight right now, but you can see from this line, and this is important, this line to the outer edge is, and you'll be referenced with my little finger, that's about the width of my little finger, and that's true on both sides. Now, here's where the issue really came in. Down at the bottom, because this piece is centered to the mass, or to the corners and not to the mass, this section right in here is wider, all right? And that made an illusion that is what bit me, I believe, by having studied a little bit. And so, like I say, I'm not sure quite how this is going to go. So in this little video clip that I want to play for you, it plays at full speed for just the incident, and then I played at 1/10 of a speed, and then I have about 5 stills that I took out of it where you can see where my fingers were and how they my mind thought they were in the right place and they were in a safe zone, but they really weren't. So let's see if this works. First time I've tried this kind of thing. So we'll give her a go, and I'm actually my goal here is to drive a mouse of another computer from here. So let's see what happens. If it doesn't work, I apologize, and we'll just go on with our fun resin today. And if it works right, well, you know, I'm halfway to where I wanted to be. I wanted to do the Weatherman event with it, but it didn't quite work out. So I'll use the mouse as my only pointer because I'm not up against the wall. And so this is where it starts, and you can see what looks like it's all nice and solid here. You see the line that I was referencing before, right? Now I'm going to go ahead and just hit play on this, and then it'll play, like I said, in full speed for just a few seconds and show the actual real time. I think you'll hear the audio for that first section, and then there'll be no audio after that. And then it'll play that same little clip a few seconds again, but at 1/10 the speed, and then again, like I said, I have the stills. Because I really want to reinforce this. We all make our mistakes, and I wanted to take the time to point this out on how easy and how fast it happens. So okay, so let's hit play on this. And I can't hear what's playing out there, but I'm betting there's a little turning sound and all that. Okay. Ow, don't do that. So you can see how quick that happened. It was super, super fast. That was at 1/10 the speed. So now here we are with the pictures in stills right out of the video. And there's the line. That's that line that I was referencing. So my little finger, my next finger in, they're all safe. The middle finger is right on the edge that's still solid. My index finger is already in the danger zone. But if you look here, see how this looks solid? So that's what's deceiving. And then you can see when the next frame, that finger is over and outboard of the solid wood. And that's what led to the problem. That's where the trouble is going to come in. And again, these little stills run for about 20 or 30 seconds apiece. So the thumb is out of the way. These fingers are fine. But this one finger is all the way over, and my mind says that it was touching this, what it thought was solid wood up in here. And then there you see the moment that it actually got caught. The piece had been turned off. It was slowing down. And so you can see how the finger starts to get grabbed. And this was being filmed at 60 frames a second. So it's a pretty good stop motion, even though we got a little bit of blur there. So you can see that the next finger is all the way out into the danger zone, this one here. And this one is the one that is on the left of the solid wood. Then that's the last hit, and so now it's pulled this finger even more. And then remember the very beginning, it went brrr, and that's all it was. I mean, just that quick. You know, it sounds like about 7 hits before I pulled my hand back. So I wanted to make sure that, and I want people to see this, how quickly it happens and how easy it is to be deceived by a piece that's spinning when it's not solid. So again, this looks all solid right here. Here's where the edge of the piece actually ends, right there where the mouse is. And this is the last, second to the last shot, I think, where it's actually pulled my finger down. And that is in just fractions of a second. These fingers here are still they're all good. They haven't touched anything. And I think when this shifts the next frame, I finally start to react and pull my hand back. There we go. So that's me, and I finally reacted to pull my hand back, and you can see that the tip of that finger is kind of bent around. And if you go back and watch last Monday's event, you'll see that I didn't use that finger for the rest of the day. I'm pretty good. I've unfortunately done this too much. Pretty good at hiding those kind of mistakes, out on the road with the woodworking shows and things like that. But I really wanted to take about 5 minutes and emphasize how important it is to be careful. And here's the piece when it came to a stop. And there we are again. So that's all the thicker my safety zone really was. And so it took just a fraction of a second for me. And when I flip back over off of this this slide here, I'll kind of try and explain more what I'm talking about. But it just was a fraction of a second, and I just really, really wanted to reinforce that. Okay? So I think that worked out pretty well. Come back to live here. Yeah, Jeff says if you just think how bad it would have been if you caught your finger between the bowl and the tool rest. Absolutely. And
took her to tear out.
I think it may have played again there at the very end, but I've seen enough of it. I cut that little section yesterday. I hope that helps reinforce. And if you want to share this with other people, or if you want me to let me know, send me a note. If you want me to put this out somewhere, that little clip, it happens. And I've been doing this a lot. And it's old habit. And I guarantee you I won't stop putting my hand on a piece that is turned off and slowing down. Time to teach an old dog new tricks. Yeah, I wish, Brian. But I wanted to reinforce that how quick and easy that can happen. Now, it makes we're complacent when we're turning a solid bowl. I don't even think about that. But I always reinforce talking about it on those crazy pieces. And I just wanted to show that and share that with you guys so you could see kind of a breakdown. And I'm lucky that it wasn't any worse. There's no big holes or anything like that. It's just super, super tender. And it's been a week today. So there we are. Okay. All right. On to fun things. We're going to put this guy off somewhere until I get around to finishing it up. If you remember back some time ago, I cast a couple of pieces. And I have these two here today, and I decided I wasn't going to go any further with them the way they are, so it was time to go ahead and just turn them and see what we got. I was working with the new water clear resin that is in development from Chroma-Craft, and it's taken a long time, and I don't know when I'll get some more. So I didn't want to just sit on these forever, and I was kind of curious just what they're going to look like. Now, what happened in this one, this is the original one. This piece is hollow. And let me go to overhead. This piece is already hollowed out. Here's the original tenon. And what happened is when it was in the mold, let me see how this works. There you go, you can see. So when I put it in the cup, just like this one, once it was in the pressure pot, it rolled over. I thought I had it secured down in there with my piece of wood, and it leaned over, so it kind of messed everything up. So it's out of whack. We'll get it turned straight. and it's already hollow inside. This wood is just a plug, this plug in the hole, okay? So the same thing with this guy. This was my next attempt at how to keep them square and straight in here. So in this one, I made this lid, which let me go overhead. I made this cap, if you will, that plugs the hole in the piece, and I drilled the holes here, and I actually poured the resin, so this all slopes down. So I can turn that where you can see how that slopes down a little bit. I got to get down here back in focus. So this is like a funnel. Think of it as a funnel. I could have drilled some more holes. So I poured the resin into the holes, and the piece was sandwiched securely down here in the bottom, plus it was hanging by the top here, all right? So it didn't move at all. It did great. The problem that I ran into, the issue I had this day, is I ran out of resin, all right? Don't that stink? Ran out of resin, didn't have enough to finish pouring it. I don't want to have the big giant witness line, so I decided we're just going to cut this open and turn it like it is. All right, so I'm going to jump back up here and see. Jeff says, are they coming out with different dyes for the water clear resin? I don't think they'll, I think it's similar enough. They probably aren't going to come up with any other resin tints. The same tints that Chroma-Craft carries now will work with the water clear. I think it's real close to being the same. All right. So let me see where I put my knife, because I had one around here. Here's one. And I'm just going to cut this other one open. And I'm going to let me move my mouse and stuff out of the way real quick. So let me just kind of give you that for a second while I walk over here. Get my mouse back over here for this guy. I love this new cool weather. I just now, I don't even know what time it is, 11:22. I just now turned on the air conditioner. It's been wonderful. So I want to save my wooden piece, and we'll get that out of there later. So we'll get this guy cut open. And we're going to turn on both of these today. And I'm really curious just to see how this works out. Because two different methods. I like this method of mounting the piece in there. So that frees that up. And now I'll cut away the plastic. And I just cut it and score it. Cut away from yourself, cut down the side of it. That's what all these McCalister's Deli and Dunkin' Donuts. Bridget is off this week. I think Bridget's in the house watching. Bridget's going to pop in and tell me if anything is crazy, if something gets out of line. I think. And this has been cured for a long time now. It's been a month, 2 months probably, since I cast these up. My wonderful disposable molds. There we go. And so it peels right off. That's fantastic and cool and all that, and that's trash. Now that's my tenon on this one. We'll go over ahead. So here's my tenon built in, 2 3/8. Now my plug that I've got up in here is probably got a little resin in it. You know, it's driven in there, but I see some resin on it. So it might be kind of stuck. Let me see something here real quick. I don't know which one I want to turn on first to see what they're about. You know, this is that, you know, developing new ideas. I do have my new toolbox in here. I do not have it organized yet. by hurting my finger, maybe that's why I really wanted to tell you guys and show you about hurting my finger. I couldn't do any of my wiring out here, run any of my new lights or any of that kind of stuff. Really kind of slowed me down this week. So let's see if this will pop loose. Otherwise, I'll turn it away. There it goes. So that was the plug that went in so that this piece didn't get any resin inside of it. Now it looks a little dark. Oh, I know what this piece is. This piece was kind of green to start with. So this one's not going to be clear anyway. But there's my reusable funnel, okay? She knows I need to be supervised 24/7. That's a fact. So I like my little funnel idea here that is reusable for plugging once you make a hollow form. You know, I can use this again to keep the resin from coming in, and this would be in the cup. All right. So that's a pretty cool idea. I'm pretty happy with that little guy. All right. Go out here. We'll go up here. So there he is. You know, you can make these out of scrap. I did. So again, this guy is partially hollowed, but he's not clear. This one, the wood piece here is the same concept, except that a couple of things happened. The resin wasn't supposed to go so far down and around. This was supposed to be the tenon end. This piece is clear, and I took pictures, but you couldn't see. So I've already turned it, and this was the water clear, and I just sprayed the Chroma-Craft Web-FX on the outside, and then I want to turn it back down and have it clear all the way through. All right. So the question I have to myself is my tenon is not perfect. Here I got a little bit of resin right in this corner. I have to stay down here to stay in focus. So I got a little bit of a shoulder there. I'm not sure how I want to deal with that. What I think I want to do, I'm going to mount this up and see if it will stay solid and stay secure. I'm not worried about it being perfectly centered. I'm going to bring tailstock up because I want to turn this uniform thickness away from this and get this plug out of here. So I think that's my plan. Okay, let's see how that looks from the end. So that looks pretty good from the end too. You can see pretty well. I've got the 1 3/8" jaws on the Easy Chuck here today. And let's see. I got too many things on my screen up above, but I'm getting this figured out. Let me run into the control room here real quick. Since I don't have a controller in my control room yet. Let me get this out of the way and that out of the way so I can actually see the chat box there and make sure everything's still running right on that. And I've got my other chat box below. Okay, so let's bring our tailstock up. Let's get this guy locked in. I'm loving as the studio comes along out here. It's been a dream of mine. I love it when things they always take longer than you want, but it's so rewarding when they work out the way you want them to. And it's a fun challenge, and it always will be a challenge. And I also need to change a couple cutters here real quick. So instead of staying in the overhead, let me do that. Let me go back out here. I need to change a couple of cutters around real quick like. Has anybody been doing anything fun? Tell me a story while I change these cutters or ask me questions. If you are interested in knowing something, this will take me just a minute or two or three. I want to change 2 cutters out. Get my negative rake back on here on my #1 hollower and on the micro, excuse me. I've got the new, it's not new, I changed the main camera, the one you see me on now. It's a camera I've actually had for quite a while, but I didn't want to bring it out until things were a little bit more up to speed in here. And I think it's, I won't know, I think it's a good look. I think it's shooting well. I played with all the settings. It's got 1 million of them the other day. And hopefully got them set right. It's always fun when you add another component to the system, then you have to start setting its settings. The nice thing is, really now, unless I make a change, like today I was making changes, I can turn on and be ready in about 15 minutes. Physically, the film studio can be physically ready to roll. And that is not a negative rake, Bradley. Oh, it's because you're going to steal this one. That's why this is laying out here. I got more on order. I use a lot of the CI5s up. I go through them pretty quick. All right. That over there doesn't have a cutter. I don't use that 90 much, so I'm not terribly concerned about stealing it. I don't think I'll use it today if I was to need it. Alrighty. I think this will be all the arsenal I need. I have all the others in negative rake today. All right. Okay. Good deal. So I've got negative rake in the micros. I've got negative rake in the mid-size. So I'm pretty well covered. Again, we're going to check everything because I've been talking and yakking and everything else. Make sure my chuck is on tight. Make sure that's on there. Make sure this is snug. That's good. Turn my camera switcher a little bit. Okay, take you to the overhead. We'll find a speed here that we like. Helps if you unlock the spindle, Bradley. Going to turn on my fan to keep the resin dust at bay. Well, it's not the smoothest I've ever felt, but we'll work with it. We'll see what happens. First tool of choice is the #1 hollower, the small cutter, light cuts, and we're just going to get it round. It's very deceiving because it's so clear. It's going to be interesting and fun. A little bit higher still. I'm going to paint the top of this lathe. I'm going to paint this, clean this lathe up one of these days. One of these days I'm going to clean this thing up. Actually, there's another one that I'm thinking about putting in here. I think Rich knows what I'm thinking about. All right, first my face mask. There we go. Good deal. See, I got a different set of images on the monitors today, so I'm kind of trying to adjust that a little bit. We're going to start right in here, and we're just going to try and get this thing back down to round. I always like to start out with the small cutter. I might go over to the bigger one here after a bit, but I want to get it round and get it smooth so it's not as aggressive a cut. You bleed the fifth. What I'm thinking I can do, this is what I'm hoping, is once I get this turned away and get this plug out, I can turn this around and possibly put a little set of real small jaws inside here and get my tenon a little bit better. So we'll see how that goes. So as you can see, we're turning away half of it and we haven't touched the other half yet. Pick up a little more speed. Let's see if it's shaking anything in the image for you or not. Looks like it's okay. Again, I can see the ghost image down in there, so I know where I'm headed to. I've got high hopes for this technique of, I cast this once, made it hollow, it's clear, then I put the Web-FX on, then I cast again, and so I'm laminating. That's where that comes from in the description for today. I'm laminating this decorative application between the layers of resin, and because the piece theoretically is being completely recast, there's no witness lines. Okay. Of course, as usual, this is what you look like when you turn the resin. As we know, it's so much fun. All right. This is working out just fine. Now, when I get close to the original piece, I want to be careful. And if I turn through it today, well, okay, life happens. And I did right there. I thought I might have gotten too close, and so I have. So I've cut away my decorative part right there, and that's just unfortunate. But the idea is to keep it uniform. But since it was crooked in there, I kind of got that. And I thought about it yesterday when I come out of here for a second. I thought about it yesterday when I was deciding to do this. I thought, well, I may come through the side of the piece, come through the wall because it's not true, lined up. And I thought, well, okay, that'll let us see a cross section, if you will, for lack of better terms, of what the piece is. Again, these are all developmental works. I'm not trying to take this one somewhere and put it on any kind of exhibition or anything. It's just figuring out a new approach. So there'll be casualties, and that's okay. That's part of it. All right, so let's keep going. Get back over here on the overhead. Get my shield back on. Now it's going to be interesting to see over time with, if this process does what I want it to and works the way I'm hoping and all, that you can turn a uniform thickness to have that depth, that look of depth in the piece. So I'm going to turn this right down to wood out here. I don't even know, so it's still a little bit, I don't know what kind of piece of wood it is. It's a pretty piece of wood, whatever it is. The question is, how am I going to get it out of there? So let's take some of this top away. Because if I turn away where it's glued on, it should theoretically pop off. Theoretically. But we know how me and my theories go sometimes. My theories and I. Okay. So that's getting pretty close. Let me give you the end shot and see how that does. You can see what I'm doing in here. I'm not sure, maybe the overhead is still better, but I'm about to cut down through here. That's the other tendon that was off angle, so we can't use that, so actually we're better off. Oh, wrong one. Let's go to the overhead, Bradley. There we go. Clean this off. And I think I want to reach in here now with a detail tool. And in my my mid-size micro detailer, I've got a negative rake on here. And so I'm going to use that to reach down into this corner right in here and see if I can't cut into the wood where the wood goes into the opening on the piece. And this is kind of blocking the end view, so I'm going to leave it in the overhead view. Get my goggles clear where I can see, make sure I'm lined up here. Light cuts. I don't want to do anything crazy. Stop and check. Get the streamer out of there. We might use a knife for this. And oh, speaking of the resin world, you guys who follow Zach Higgins, Zach Higgins with NV Woodworks, he's my resin mentor. Great guy. He hit 50,000 people on his YouTube channel. He's going to be having an event, I think starting next week. So keep up with Zach. I was just giving him a shout there. All right, I need to go a little bit further with my detailer, and I think I'll be clear in here. We'll see what happens. You don't really want both sides of this detailer to ever touch very much. Always leave yourself a little extra room. Okay, so here's where my curiosity comes in. Will that come loose? Will it pop out of there? I don't know. I may have it glued in and have to turn it all the way away. She seems pretty solid. It does indeed. I don't want to wrap on it too hard. I'll get my little mallet tapper. Again, it's a learning curve, and so because in this one the resin probably glued it all the way down in there. So what I think I'm going to do is just go ahead and cut this off. I'm just going to basically part through here, and see what I've got to do to open that back up. Now I'm down to virtually all wood, so I think I can use my Carter & Son 16th inch parting tool. My favorite. I still got my tool racks over here at the moment, at least. So where's the parting tool hiding? I love their 16th inch parting tool. There it is. Spiracraft carries all the Carter & Son tools. The 16th inch is my favorite. They have great tools. Get them all in the store. Shameless plug for Spiracraft. All right, let's go back overhead. Raise that tool rest up some more. Get that out of the way. Little teeny bit more up. Again, I'm not totally trusting my grip in the chuck, so I'm being very gentle. And there we go. And so now from the end, we can see what we've got. Let's see what we have. Okay, so we're going to take the tailstock away. Thinking about this. And I'm going to turn inside there, open that up. We'll come at it from the end. See what we can do. Check our center height. We're right on the center. Make sure she's still nice and snug in there. Everything looks good. Now theoretically, if what I'm thinking is true, and I don't know how, see the thing is I don't know how far in my wood plug went, so I'm going to try another approach here with the detail tool, which actually rides a little bit higher. So instead of having to turn all that wood away, let's see, make sure I don't get in the way. If we can't just cut this loose. I love this kind of stuff. This is fun. We're experimenting away, trying different things out. Again, it's been so long I don't remember how big, like I said, how big the hole is that I have in here. Stop and take a look. Gosh, I don't know what I did. I know it's hollow in there. I swear it is. I swear I could be wrong, but I don't think so. Again, I'm trying to not let both sides of this cutter get engaged. I'm starting to see a clear line down in there. I know I don't have it at a real low angle on the camera today, but I think we're just about to pop through there. Myself a little more room, because when it cuts through, the tool could move a little bit further forward than I might anticipate. Okay, make a liar out of me here. I gotta cut through pretty soon, he says. He says. get some material out of there. And maybe I didn't do what I thought I did, but I can't believe that it's as solid. Maybe I didn't ever hollow it out. Does anybody remember what I did? I don't. Alright, let's get rid of this. I was certain it was hollow or I wouldn't have put that piece of wood in there. Actually, that's just wood, so let me grab a standard it's just a standard cutter, not the negative rake. But I'm still turning resin though. Maybe homeboy here left it solid after all. It wouldn't be the first time I thought wrong. Not the tool I want. If I didn't, well, we'll just make it hollow. Either I didn't leave it solid or enough resin went in there. It may have seeped back in around the plug that didn't fit just right. So here's what I want to do. Let's see if I can do this. Can I do this? I basically want to put a tenon on the top of this real quick and turn this around so I can clean up my other tenon. That gives me a shoulder. Okay. It's probably going to be in between the two, size-wise. Yeah. So that's my big tenon. That's my 2 3/8. So I'm in between sizes here. All right, let's try this real quick. I can always, it won't go in, but I think I can grab it this way. We know this is true. I just want to clean up this other real tenon real quick like. There we go. I think this will work for what we're doing. Not quite. I need to put a little dovetail in there. Back around real quick. I do have a plan. Trust me, I do have a plan. One of the reasons I keep trying to get easy wood tools to make a square negative rake cutter is because you can't cut a true square flat tenon base in resin with a radius style cutter. Now you see why I want to get a real tenon on here. All right. We'll do this gently. Using the detail tool. Get ourselves a little dovetail profile that actually works here. Okay. That should do the trick. Oops, sorry about the arm. That first grip just wasn't quite doing it right. Now we'll zoom out. Well, we use the zoom ring, the infamous zoom ring. Okay, that works well. We'll get this little teeny tin intrude up, which is actually the right size, so we get a good strong grip on it. And this won't take but a second. Again, gently, because the other grip isn't stellar. A little bit high for that. Let me drop this down real quick. Because having a good grip is so important, because when you get down to the final details and your tenon grip isn't strong and you knock it out, it just ruins your day, ruins everything about it. Clean that up while we're at it. Just for yucks, if we want to know where the center is. For some reason in the future, we'll mark that. Okay, now we have a genuine tenon going on here. Zoom ring ourselves back down. We should have a nice secure grip here now. And I guess, like I said, either I never did hollow this out, but I swear I did, or it filled back up with the resin when I cast it because my plug leaked. That is quite possible. Anything is possible, I guess. So we're going to go inside this guy and see how that turns. We'll true the outside back up again too. But we'll keep going on the inside of this guy and get it hollowed out. We're turning about 1,000 RPMs. Back with my #1 hollower. Now you could drill this out with a Forstner bit and all that kind of good stuff. I still can't believe I didn't hollow this the first time. I'm going to have to go look. Well, of course, I don't think I did it on camera. And raise that tool rest up just a fuzz. It's making me work a whole lot more on this one than I wanted to, if you know what I mean. This was not the plan, Stan. I'm going to turn this whole ring away right here. See, because the theory I have is that you do this once on just a solid piece and then you put the decoration on it and you don't have to do that extra work. Figure out where that vibration's at yet. I hope. now, so before I get too thin or too far inside, I do want to clean up the outside. So like I said, we've already gone. Unfortunately, we've gone all the way through right in here, but this is the area that I want to keep. So I want to just try and make this uniform. So I'm going to go to a mid-size negative rake, and we'll see how we'll clean this up. And if we can keep from just cutting through that, we'll be right where we want to be. Get that back to nice and true round. And so you can see here I have just a little teeny bit more right there to go. And then we'll have our clear thickness there. Just a nice thin layer. I'm going to go ahead and blend this in. It's going to take some of it away because this guy was crooked. Again, it's an experimental piece, so we're just working with what we've got. This will probably down here take all the color off of it. But oh well. You win some, you lose some. Okay. Radius cutter on the outside here. I may bring tailstock up to see if I can't stop that outside vibration a little bit. Real quick like. The urethane rubber shucky on here. See if we can't tighten this guy up a little bit, at least for the outside. See if that does us any good. A little extra support on there. Get our big tool marks out. And I need to clean up the tool rest, speaking of tool marks. When I get down to the final cuts here, or your finished cuts, tool rest got a few little nicks in it. I think the gremlins just come in at night and do that to them, because I'm not one who taps a tool on a tool rest to clear the flutes or anything, but you still get, and that's a factory tool rest. It's nothing special. But these little radius cutters for cleaning up your round cut marks are great. I see one shiny spot where I still haven't touched it at all. Right there. That's kind of interesting. So we want to get rid, I'm going to do this so that flat spot goes away. Not that I'm going to sand this to any nth degree. You can see it getting smaller and smaller virtually. And there it just disappeared, so that flat spot just went away. So that's pretty good up in there. Now you can't use the radius cutter on the concave surfaces though, because the corners touch. I hope my head's not in the way there. You see what I mean about the habit of you turn the lathe off and I'm still rubbing my finger on it to see how it feels after the fact. It just, at least it's not a triangle and it's going to eat me alive. Okay. Now I'm not going to worry too much down in here. I just want to get this where I can put some abrasive paste on it. That's probably going to take all that color off. We'll still get a glimmer of my concept anyway, which makes me happy. You don't always get what you want on the first shot at something, almost never. Okay, I got a little chatter right there. I don't know if you can see that. There's a little chatter line right there from vibration. So let's see if we can take that out with this guy instead of the sandpaper. Still a little bit of it there. But so you see how this looks dull now? But it's smooth and flat. So this is where, if he's lucky today, he was looking for his sandpaper the other day. But I'm just going to sand this real quick and then use some abrasive grit on the outside. Nothing fancy. Not a lot of time on it. I just wanted to get the general look, if you will. Just to polish it up. I could also spray lacquer on it, but that takes a little bit longer. Now granted, this is like 220. Again, there'll be tool marks and whatnot. Obviously this is not the proper sanding protocol, but I'm not going there on this piece. At least not right now. I'm not worried about it having some tool marks in it and stuff like that. Okay. We'll use our 2 grits of abrasive paste. And I like to do the outside first, then I'll go ahead and take out the inside. Again, we're working more on concept here than perfection. And I don't think that this one was the water. I think the other one over here is actually, I think this is the one with the water clear resin to it. Because I've got a little bit of yellow tinge in there. Some of this might have been. Hard to say. All right, that looks good without even doing anything. And what I'll do is I'll just take out enough of the inside to get us down into the color there. I'm not going to hollow all the way down into the bottom, though. I swear I see where it's been hollowed before. You can see the other depression right there, and hopefully it'll come up when we polish this. So what I think happened is when I re-poured it, my wooden plug that I turned away, I think it basically leaked on me and didn't keep the resin from not going down inside the piece. Because like I said, I want to swear that I had hollowed this out, and I can see down in there now. You can see that where I had hollowed to before, and I haven't hollowed that far right now, I'm certain. So it did get refilled, unfortunately. So that's why that second method worked much better for me. Much, much better. Take that off of there. Always use a paper towel. Don't ever use that old t-shirt. And we'll switch over to the fine. At least I feel a little vindicated that I see that other hollowing depth in there, meaning that I hadn't completely lost my mind. I mean, I've lost it a little bit a long time ago. And it actually looks like it's possible that I did use the water clear, but it picked up some of the some leach, some color out of the wood, because you see how much more yellow it is up top there where the wood was compared to down here. The water clear is the same that if you remember the little flower, or not flower, feather, the little feather cup that I did, that with the colored, the dyed feathers. It's the same resin. As you know, I hate sanding. Okay, so yeah, you can see where I had hollowed to before, and I can see a line here. So maybe, and now you can see with the inside up in here. So it'll be interesting to see if that's where that line is, where the resin stops right there. We're going to go that far. Then I want to throw this other piece on before I run out of time today. It's 12:15. I give myself 2 hours out here. Again, if anybody's got any kind of questions at all, fire away. I'm here to try and fill in the blanks for you when possible. Okay, I'm gonna need a quick sip here. I am confident that my theory works, because that looks great. You know, it's a very, very thin layer of resin cast over top of that. And I was thinking about this yesterday. So this is the Web-FX sprayed on. And now that I've learned, chop up here, that I can use the aniline dyes, the liquid aniline dyes, and put on the resin, and it will dye the resin. So I could make another clear piece, cast it clear, airbrush it, do whatever I wanted to. And instead of trying to get 10 coats of lacquer, 100 coats of lacquer on there, let that dye dry. We recast it, turn it, keep it from turning sideways, of course. And then we would have this nice, thick, deep look to it. So I think there's a lot of merit to my project idea here. So other things that we can do to the resin to color it with patterns. You could do the stencils. I mean, it's kind of like the glass. I'm thinking of paperweights. You know, my mom, who I think might still be hanging around here, mom used to get me paperweights from my grandmother, and they were glass. I loved them, and they always had things in the middle of them. So trying to kind of recreate that in a goblet or a hollow form. That's kind of the long-term end goal, but not to have it solid, to have it be opened up with the layers in there. Because what we find in casting resin is trying to get resin with colors in it, not colors, but physical animates, they tend to sink because of specific gravity. So I'm looking for a way to add colors to a piece that don't have to worry about the gravity. We make the piece, we color the outside, we recast it again, then we turn it back thin. We have that look, and we didn't have to put the glitters or whatever we might be using and try and hope for it to not sink to the bottom before it starts to set up. So this is what I'm after, is this method of being able to add a decorative color that it has the appearance, or in reality is in a very deep layer down in the thickness of the piece. So that's where I'm going with this craziness. Okay, back inside here. If I can cut through to what I know I think was where I turned to, then I will kind of stop there and we'll grab this other piece and play with it. All right, let's go back. I wonder if I should leave it in the... I think I will. I think I'll leave it in the overhead for you for a minute, and we'll see what that looks like while I'm turning it instead of the end shot. Just out of curiosity. And the one thing I forgot to hit record on this. Oh well. It's being recorded somewhere else. Forward would be a good direction to turn in, Bradley. How you can watch from the outside what you're doing on the inside, isn't it? Because I'm looking right down in here and watching my tool cut. And also, before you polish it, you can see the wall thickness. And you know, because it's kind of opaque, so you know that you're not super thin. And I think that I heard the air pop. I don't know if you guys heard that. So I think it just released the air pressure in there, maybe, because something certainly popped and went poof. I think it's right, yeah, it's right there. I don't think I can show it to you in the end view. If I do this, where is that spot at? Right there. So right there, it actually opened up. Let me see what I have. If I have anything handy that I can do. Oh, where's my ice pick? My infamous ice pick. So right there is where it opened up. Okay, and now if I go to the overhead, you see the ice pick? So there was pressure in there. That's what I heard, that poof, that pop. Okay, so that's where that layer is. So I'm not crazy. I did indeed hollow this guy out to start with. I feel much better. I haven't lost my mind entirely. Partly, but not entirely. So we'll go ahead and cut through this. Let's see. Come in here. Just like anything that's thin, you can hear it pop, hear it get thin. And there's the bottom of the so that's how much resin leaked. So there was a flaw in my plan. Okay, I get it. You know, that's why we call it learning and trials and experimenting. And now this is open all the way down to the bottom. Okay, so I hadn't totally lost my mind. It is doing what I want. I feel so much better. All right, let's clean this up a little bit more. Try the bigger around, see if we can't move a little more material. So the inside is out around to the original turn from being crooked. But it did what I want. It did what I want. So this resin right in here. And again, let me get, because everything looks white there, it looks like on the screen. You can see the distinct color difference. Here's the water clear, and here's that second pour, or either the second pour I did in the regular resin, or it picked up the color from the wood. Because there's the difference, okay? So let's get some more of this out of here. I'm gonna go back to my smaller cutter. How's my time? 12:23. Okay. I want to at least kind of blend this together and polish it real quick. To see if I can get some of my concept to come through for me. All right. I'm actually a whole lot happier now than I was just a little while ago. So I'm trying to smooth out that transition. Okay. All right, so I'm not going to spend a long time on this. But we'll just sand it super light in there and polish it real quick. Yeah, I'm going to slow this down a little bit. I just want to play with the general idea here. And I think I'm seeing what I was hoping for. So again, the issue was in my first molding method didn't work as desired or planned. But it does lead me to see that the concept is viable. And we'll just polish that real quick just for yucks, and I think it'll clear up a little bit. What did I polish it with? Yorkshire grit. I'm using up some Yorkshire grit that I got here. Again, it's you know, it's super rough in there and all that good stuff, but we know that, and we're accepting that for this particular project. I just want to get a little bit more, just enough to see to make it clear. It doesn't, I mean, it doesn't have to be spot on for what we're doing here. Just give me the idea, and I'll be happy. So the whole idea, and well, I'll wait till I do the other polish, is so that we can see through with the Web-FX. The whole idea was to have a splattered look that was suspended, you know, in the layers. And the general concept is, like I said, is doing what I want it to do. You can see, it may have a little bit too much Web-FX on there, but you can see through it. Now, what I see that you see in the camera and what I see in person are a little bit different because I'm real close. I just feel better that I hadn't lost my mind and not hollowed this at all to begin with. You know, you start getting older, you start thinking you did something and then you find out you didn't, or you thought you did. It's nice to know that when you think you did, you actually did do it. And if you know, from the end you can see it's just getting in here and polishing. Again, it's full of tool marks, not sanded properly or any of that good stuff. Dry first thing, put the cap on. So, and as far as I'm concerned, I know it's hard to see through there, but if you look at, if you're close, you see right through it. So these colors are suspended in it, and let me, I'm gonna go ahead and take this off of here. And another thing that'll be interesting to see is looking down from the top. Now, I didn't polish the top edge though, and the focus is down here. So I'll see if I can bring it up closer. You can see, you can kind of see how you can see through there. Again, it won't stay in focus, and I'm on manual focus. If I had a light, if I had my light, here, let's try this. If I don't make a mess. There we go. I knew there was a way to show you. All right, now I feel better. So that's the idea, that's the concept. If that was done, you know, properly, smooth, it'd be interesting to learn how much to control your splatters and whatever. I'm thinking about like taking stencils, doing the stencils in the die, and stenciling that. And that's just to blast it through. You know, what else we do that? Don't know. I'm trying not to blind you with the that doesn't do anything. Oh, here just if you look from the outside looking in, another little angle. All right, so that's the idea. Put my spotlight back over here. So that's the idea that I was after. So first test of the concept, yes, it's doing what I want. The color is sandwiched in between, so I'm happy with that. Now what do we got? About 30 minutes left, about 28. Let's see what we can do with this guy. This one is it's dark on the inside. It's not clear on purpose. It's like black. It's a piece that was black. So let's do a quick jaw change here. Well, thank you, folks. Brian and Maria. I think it's a cool effect. Obviously, it needs work. Everything needs work. I always fall back on Edison. I think, Edison and his light bulb, when he had failed 5,000 times and somebody said, well, why do you keep trying? He said, well, because I know 5,000 ways now that it won't work. That's one of my favorite things. That always keeps me going when I'm playing with an idea and I'm not getting where I want to be. And in my disarray here, hopefully I can find all my jaws that I want. Should do the trick. Mary Alice says that gives me a layering idea. That's why I'm here. If I give you some new ideas and you take it and run with it, I am a happy man. I have done my job. So Mary Alice, run with it. Run with it. I know with the flowers that you were doing before that you've seen, he liked my black socks. Yeah, I need black shoes and white socks, Brian. I don't know if Bridget's watching or not. I'll find out in a second. She was laughing at me last week. She saw part of the video, and she said something about wearing my shorts that I have on, and my shorts and my shoes and socks and all that. And I said, honey, it's all good with me. It's all good with me. Alrighty. Again, I think this one was one of those pieces that, actually, Mary Alice, this one I was playing with trying to cast live flowers that weren't dried at all, just to see what would happen. I taught you not to stick your fingers into rotating objects. Well, Rich, you already knew not to do that, but maybe you know a little bit more about how quickly it can happen to get you a messed up finger on a piece that's not solid. It'll heal. I've had worse. All right, this keeps crushing in. I'm wondering if this isn't some goofy old resin. Let that crush a little bit more. This one I just want to try and see if I can turn to the profile and not cut through it, because if I cut through it, it ruins it. But I just want to see if I can't make a uniform depth on here. I don't know why this keeps crushing in. It'll probably start vibrating on me. So, in that case, let's see here. We'll put the urethane cone back up in place. See if that'll help us out a little bit. Turn the speed way down. Put it in forward, turn it on. Those jaws keep crushing, or keep squeezing in. So I'm not sure what the deal is. So I want to have something here to keep that secure. And you can see there's what we've got. I've got lots of ideas. Yeah, this resin is soft. So I must have mixed it wrong. That's why the jaws are crushing in. This may not turn very well. This falls into the defective resin cast category. I may have been using up some old resin. You know how you have all those jars with or containers with just a little teeny bit in the bottom. So you take all 7 of them and you pour them all together and let them drain all day, and then you take the other parts and you mix that up and you make something. Well, here's what happens sometimes. You can see how soft this is, and this has been a long time. So I don't know what it'll do. It'll probably get kind of tear apart. We'll see if it turns or not. It may not turn. It may just be like trying to turn rubber. We'll find out here in a second. Rich, I'm glad you're learning and going to be safer. Table saw would not be a good one to stick your thumb into. Even if you own a saw stop, it costs you however much that piece costs. So I wouldn't do that if I could help it. Of course, none of us do it on purpose. All right, let's see what happens here. As soft as this feels, I'm not overly optimistic at the moment. A little bit higher. All right. That's a little slow, Brad. Let's see if this will turn or if it goes to goo. Well, surprisingly, the top area here is really gooey, but this isn't too bad. So this is going to be a string fest, I can tell you, on this one. As you can see, this will be. I'm going to leave it up here just for fun for a minute. Everybody loves a good Halloween costume. This stuff is all nice and soft and warm. I will say one thing, when it's this soft, it turns really easy. I can't imagine that it'll polish. Wonder if I should save this for Halloween. Okay, I'll go overhead now and let you see what's going on. So I am getting a little bit of vibration. You see the chatter in there, but we can see this pretty easy. You can see the ghost image of right in here of the profile. So that'll be pretty easy to follow. I'm sure I'm getting that vibration because it's so soft that the jaws of the tenon the tenon in the jaws just isn't that strong a grip, and it's just flexing. We'll turn it anyway. Stuff is like rope. I'm going to turn that speed up a little bit higher than usual, see if it makes a difference. Want to see from the end? Let's do an end shot there for you. easy to see the depth. Go back to the overhead, so I can see that I'm real close right here. Okay, I'm still pretty, I got plenty of material there. All right. Try not to split this top and but keep some pressure on this. I think my little cone is just about the same size as the hole there. Okay, we got plenty of ways to go there. That's perfect right in there. Might make, not that I'm personally into them, but salt mills or pepper mills, pepper grinders, salt grinders, might be an interesting concept to make transparent stuff like glue. Do this with that concept. Make yourself a pepper mill that you can see have some decorative color to it and yet still see inside. All right, that way you'd know when it was getting low without just being clear. It's that's an interesting concept. Somebody ought to jump on that. When you do it, send me a picture. We'll post it up. We'll put it on the Spiracraft page. And I want to flare that because I know that I'm at the right thickness there. I don't want to do any more. And I think I'm going to attempt, I'm all tangled up here. I'm all tangled up, look at here. I'm all tangled up in this mess. I think I'm going to try and flare this, just let this come down and touch this. And try not to take the color off of that because there's no resin on this whatsoever, and just for fun. So as I get closer, I'm going to keep stopping more often. And obviously, you can control just how thick you want it to look. The beauty is if you work it right, if you do a double mold, I'll show you what I'm talking about. If you do a double mold on your initial piece, you wouldn't necessarily use a whole lot of resin, and you keep your expense way down, which is always good because resin isn't outrageous, but it's not free. Okay, and the other thing you could do, you could do some, and I'm going to do it. I'm not going to put the color in it necessarily, but I might if I can find a marker that works. You could do some decorative grooves, some beads and coves in this, and then color them different if you wanted to. I mean, there's a million different things that you could do here. Well, the one hard thing about this is it's concave, so it'll be hard to use my radius cutter, but I will try to clean this up. It's so soft, you can see how it's just kind of fuzzing up there a little bit. How am I doing on tying quarter tail? Okay, cool. It's really hard to keep it flat because it's so soft. Obviously not an optimum chunk of resin, but hey, it's good practice for concept. So let's see if we can clean this up a little bit. See what we get. That's better, okay. Now sometimes with these radius cutters, you can actually lead with the corner. Instead of working in the very center of the cutter, you can actually lead with the corner, and that sometimes gets you the cut you're looking for. And just let the rest of it trail. Now on this resin, anything goes. So I just went to right there, right on that high spot on that corner. I went a little too far through. So be it. It is what it is on that one. I don't know that I can sand this stuff as soft as it is. But let's see if I do this right here. Let's say we figure out we want to make some kind of a transition right here between the resin and the top piece. And the resin underneath is actually black. Now I don't remember how thick the wall is right there, so I'm going to need to be careful. So let's make it a radiused detail. Okay, so that gives me a clean line there, and sort of clean here, gummy as it is. And we could take a marker, it's just like a rubber band. Let's see here. I think I'm done turning on that stuff. Let me get, I'm making such a mess. I'm actually, in this case, going to just use a Sharpie just for yucks real quick. What I would really do is take my dye, my black aniline dye, and come in here and paint this with the dye. But for short notice and just the concept. So this just makes a transition zone between where we don't have any resin at all and where we had the resin start and stop. Okay, just something there. There's my lovely wife. She finally popped up on the screen. Bridget's enjoying some time off. Well earned, baby, well earned. It's nice to have her around the house. If my mom and dad are still in here, Bridget was talking about maybe going to Bobcats today for lunch. Bobcats is a local restaurant over about 15-20 minutes away. Old country style, southern, it's just down home cooking doesn't get any better. Okay, back to what I'm doing here. Coarse paste, just for yucks. And again, this piece of resin is like, it's not quite bubble gum. I'm not even going to sand it. I'm not going to bother. What I should have done is just sprayed it with lacquer. Okay, I lied. I'm going to sand it just one pass with sandpaper. One pass. Might make it a little bit better. Probably gum that up, but we got lots. The concept is still the same. We're building a deep layer of a resin recast on something small that you can turn. That did actually sand up a little bit nicer. Yeah, that'll look a little better. It's still going to look rough. Like I say, this stuff is so soft, I can't imagine it's going to hardly polish much at all, but it is doing a little something. All right, let's go to the fine. Again, it wasn't really that hard to follow the profile, although I did mess up right there. That'd be my bad, as they say, on that one. But the principle and the concept works. I'm pleased. It's doing what I set out for. Just needs refinement. And that's how we figured this stuff out. I love experimenting. My mother, dear mother, if you're in here today, I don't think she let me have a chemistry set because she was afraid I'd blow the house up. Now, like I say, this is not going to polish up anything fancy. Yeah, it didn't polish up too much because it's so soft. You get the general idea. Hey, it's awesome. I love your bowl. Awesome. I love your bowl. That thing is totally cool. Bridget wants it. I saw that yesterday or whatever, and I just like, that is just the coolest thing going. I'm impressed, super impressed. I wish I could show that right now. So Art, you can always watch the replay. You know, you can watch the replay. We've been having fun, Art. I'm glad you don't have any dermatitis and no detention, and I don't need to see the doctor's note. So again, this resin was bad resin, didn't set right, but the concept works. This one I will just throw away because I'm not going to do anything with it. I'm not going to finish hollowing out. It was partially hollowed on the inside. And again, I did it as a solid piece just to test it. That's probably why I used just a bunch of old resin to do this one. But again, it didn't polish up, but you can see the principle, the concept, actually pretty easy to do. Be nice if it was all nice and clear. We'll go back to this one as we're wrapping up. This one, you know, other than the fact that it fell over in the mold, makes me I'm pleased with that concept in our resin, what it does for us. So the idea works well. So whether you're using Web-FX from us, or if you're using the aniline dye, I encourage you to get some aniline dye from the store. Jump into the Spiracraft store, get some of the aniline dye, put it on with a paintbrush, okay? Because it really dyes into the resin pretty well. You could do all kinds of crazy things. You airbrush it. If you've got the stencils, do some stencils. You could do a lot of different patterns. Sky's the limit. Be creative. Try different things. The Web-FX is cool. I don't think I had any teal, because I'm a teal turquoise fan. I don't think I had any teal to say. I was going to do black and teal, or black and white and teal, and I didn't have any in stock. And so I ended up with the black and white and terracotta on this. Not the best color choice necessarily, but for an experiment, it's all good. It worked out well. And it looks like it is 12:57. So actually, I'm about 3 minutes ahead of time for once. I had a great time. I hope you guys picked up some tips from today. Again, this I think is a good idea. The build your own, turn a funnel that goes into, I was going to show you the double cup idea. Hang on just a sec. Let me do that for a second. Get over here to some cups. This isn't the perfect batch because they're different sizes. Let me see if I can find different sizes here. Most of them are next door right now. Yeah, this will work. So as you know, I'm a huge fan of cups from the stores. So as you can see, like on this one, the top of the inside cup is almost the same. It almost hangs on the outer cup. And with a little bit of work, but inside, you see how we have how much wall thickness we have there. So you have a tenon right here, pre-built tenon, plenty of thickness. I mean, I'm looking down. There's 3/8 of an inch down here of thickness. Now, obviously, it does taper as it goes up, but this whole concept, you can do this. 2 different size cups. That's what I mean by a double mold. And if you get this one to where it sits right, weight it so it doesn't float, then you can just, all the resin you're putting in is just what's in here. So, get a bunch of these, figure out the volume you need with water, let this inner cup displace, and the key is making it be straight, all right? So work on your lid top here that holds, you may have a double step lid, plug if you will. One that holds this one tight. If I can show you that. Let me do it this way. So you may make one that holds this one snug and perfect. And then it goes over top of that one as well, your bigger one. And you could still, depending on how it worked out, you might, I'm thinking as I'm talking here, use the drain holes, but you might not have to do the drain holes. If you could just, the key is going to be holding the smaller one. So I think you make a holding groove in here for your smaller one, and another ring that just holds it, and you just displace the resin, do your pour, and then you haven't used very much resin at all. Okay, so then you've got your hollow style form if that fits your needs for what you're trying to work on. Lots of different ways to get there. Be creative, try different things. How about rice for volume verification? Yeah, whatever works for you. People use rice. Use whatever you want. However you want to figure your volume is fine. It's all good. I guess they use rice so it doesn't get the molds wet, but again, these aren't real molds. But yeah, a lot of people use rice, and that way, if you drop your cell phone in the toilet, Brian, you can dry your cell phone out too because you got extra rice around. Okay, it's 1:01. Let's wrap it up. Everybody have a great, safe, and happy week. Don't forget about taking care or keeping your fingers out of spinning objects. I will see you all next Monday. I think I'll probably do another store special. I'm thinking maybe about 2 weeks out, somewhere in there. We'll see how things go. So I'll keep you all posted. Have a wonderful week. I appreciate you joining me, and I will see you next week. All righty? Bye now.